So the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, has released the Jews. And after they're gone for a while, so he realizes that he made a mistake. The Jews said they were going to only go for 3 days, and they didn't come back for 3 days. So the Yugad Lamelech Mitzrayim was told to the king of Egypt, that the Jews had left. And that's what Rashi says. Since that they reached 3 days, that they set to go and come back. So the king saw they're not coming back. So people came and they told Pharaoh on Yom Revi, on the 4th day after they left, and the Chamishi B'Shishi, and on the 5th and the 6th day they ran after them, and on the 7th day they came down. They met up with them at the sea. The Shachris and they went to the nighttime of the 7th. They came down into the sea in the nighttime, and that's when they drowned. The Jews went over and they drowned. In the morning, the Jews sang the song. And this is the 7th day of Passover. Therefore, we always read this on the 7th day of Passover. The holiday of Passover is 7 days, and the last day is also holiday. And we call the first day as a holiday, and the last day as a holiday. So it says, Vayafech Paro, Vayafech Levav Paro. His heart all of a sudden transformed. Nefach Mimash Haya, from what it was. Before, Paro said, everybody get out of my country. But Nefach Levav Avdav. Then all of a sudden, everybody said, hey, what did we do? What did we do? Before, they wanted to get rid of the Jews. The Jews were a big curse. All of a sudden, they wanted to go and get their back the money that they took out. The Jews took out all this money, all the money of the Egyptians. They said, well, we're going to be back in a few days. And they stole it from them. Now, we said a few times, how can the Jews do this? I mean, it's a lie. So the answer is that they were repaying the Egyptians for what they did. I mean, they had worked at hard labor, in various forms of hard labor, only for 210 years they were slaves there. and they didn't get paid anything. So now they're just getting their pay. Nevertheless, the fact is they were lying to them. They didn't have to lie. But it says that a prophet, if he says to transgress the Torah, the commandment of the Torah, except for idolatry, as you have to listen to him, if it's just one time. So therefore, we learned that before. It was the OrHaChaim that said they're leaving. Shalah, what do we do? We sent the Jews away, me'avdenu, from serving us. We lost all of our manpower. But yes, that Pharaoh himself saddled up his chariot and he took his people with him. Rashi says he saddled up his chariot, he himself, and he took all the people. Mashkim b'davorim. He says, what did he mean? He took his people with him. He aroused them with his words. He aroused them with his words. 1 second. Pharaoh aroused them with his words. What did he say? They took. We gave them our money, and we sent them away. Come with me, and I will, and I'll go in front of them. Not like the other kings. Usually, the other kings, they send the army first, but I'm going to go be first before everybody else. Pharaoh pushed himself and was hurried to go before all of his soldiers. Said all the other kings, they usually take the first spoils of war. But me, said Pharaoh, I'm going to be with you equally. Pharaoh said, we'll see in the song that the Jews sing, that they quote Pharaoh, saying that he says, I'll divide up the spoils equally with everybody. He took 600 choice chariots. Back then, chariots were like tanks, right? That was like very, very advanced warfare. B'chol rechav Mitzrayim, and all of the other tools of Egypt, v'shalishim al kulo. And he said these are like the big officers were on all of them. He said all of the other, Rashi says that they took the best of the chariot riders and all the other sorts of vessels of travel that they had, wagons and everything, and of course people riding directly on horses. So one second, where do they get these horses from? Where do they get these horses? Maybe you could say, well, the horses belong. What do you mean? They belong to the Egyptians. But it says that all of the animals of Egypt died. Maybe you want to say that these were the ones that the Jews left behind. But it says, no, Moses said, all of our possessions we're going to take with us, all of our flocks. If so, who did these belong to, right? The dever, the plague of the animals, and the hail killed, together they killed all the animals. It says, where do they get the animals from to run over? So it says, OrHaChaim. What did God say? God said to Moses, now I'm going to make hail in anything that the plague of the dever, all the animals that remained alive, as I said that I was going to kill all the animals in the fields. So all the animals that remained alive that weren't in the fields happened not to be on the fields, so they were still alive in the plague. But now in the I'm going to kill all of them. I'm going to kill anything that's left from the plague of the dever, because God said He was only going to kill with the dever, with this animal plague, only the animals that were in the fields. So people understood for themselves, and they took the animals into their houses. But now, with this plague of the plague of the hail, that was the last plague we learned about 2 weeks ago in Parshas Va'era, as that killed all the remaining ones. But there, God said clearly, anyone who fears God, Yirat Davar Hashem, anyone who's afraid of God, when Moses was warning Pharaoh, anyone who fears God, take your flocks, your horses, take them into your house. If they're in your house, then the hail won't kill them. So these, in other words, these horses that were now pursuing the Jews, right? Who did they belong to? Who did they belong to? The Egyptians that feared God. So Mikan, Rebbe Shimon, from here, Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai would say, kosher Sheba Mitzrayim Harog, the best of the Egyptians, you have to kill him because he wants to kill you. Tov Sheba Nechashim, the best of the snakes, Rotzetz Mocho, crush his head. In other words, you can't trust one of these Egyptians. They went, because these were the best ones of all. They're the ones that feared God. They listened to the word of God and took their sheep and horses. They believed that God had the power to kill their horses and etc. And He did. So they took them into the houses so that they wouldn't be killed. And now these same Egyptians, they were the best of them because they at least have some sort of a respect for God. As now they were chasing after the Jews with these horses that they saved from their respect. And God strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and he ran after the Jewish people. And the Jewish people, Yotzim biyad Ramah. But the Jewish people, they were going with an upstretched hand. Shehoya tole im lirdofeno, because Pharaoh was wondering, maybe should I go after them or not? He already had suffered 10 plagues. And God strengthened his heart. God said, I'm going to make you brave. Biyad Ramah b'gavura gavoa umufrasemet. The Jewish people, when they went out with a very high hand. They didn't know the Egyptians were pursuing them. Meanwhile, the Jewish people, they were going out with with a feeling of tremendous victory. The Sforno says, what does it mean that the Jewish people had a high hand? He said that the Pharaoh didn't take that many. I mean, there was 3 million Jews that left. So even if you want to say that, how many men were there that could fight against Pharaoh? So it says there was 600,000. 600,000. Pharaoh certainly did not have an army of 600,000. So that's what it means, Yad Ramah, that when they left Egypt, they were sure that no Egyptian power would be able to defeat them. So, but why? Because the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons of their certainty was because God was with them, God was fighting with them. But on the other hand, it shows that they had no idea what war is. They'd never been in a war before. because the fact is that they should have been afraid of these few soldiers that they knew how to fight, because even more than if there were hundreds of thousands of Egyptians running after them that they didn't know how to fight. These people, the Egyptians, first of all, they were tremendously motivated. The Jews had all their money. And not only that, the Jews had defeated them. And now the Jews were basically helpless, except for God. They were helpless. But we had a whole OrHaChaim yesterday, if you remember, that it said it can't be the Jews went out with weapons, chamushim, alu b'nei Israel, like Rashi said, they went out with weapons. Rashi himself brings a second explanation, because they didn't know how to use weapons. What do they know how do they use weapons? And so that's one explanation, that they didn't in fact go out with weapons. They went out with the love of God, the love of the Torah. In any case, even if they did have weapons, they didn't know how to use them. And the Egyptians did, and the Egyptians were experts. And according to some opinions, the Egyptians ruled over the whole world. So even if you have one Egyptian on a chariot, remember in those days they didn't have guns. They would drive along and just cut people, right? The chariots had whatever, swords on the wheels, or in any case, they could just go back and forth and just cut people with no end. So the Jews should have been afraid here. There was 600 of them, which means there would have to be 1,000 men for each one. But little by little, the Jews weren't trained. They didn't have any sort of army formations. So that's what it says. The Jews went out with a high hand because they believed in God. The Egyptians ran after them, and they caught them on the sea. All of these horses and the carriages and the chariots of Pharaoh and his cavalry and his foot soldiers, and they got to this place called Piachirot, the mouth of freedom, before this place called BalHaTurim. Okay, these are two places where they are. Usually it says that no slave ever got up to there, and they never ever got out of this place. Pharaoh Hikriv. It says Pharaoh, he was the one who pushed this army. Rashi says, what does it mean? It said Pharaoh came close. What does it mean? Hikriv. He pushed himself to go first before all the rest of the soldiers, and his army. Okay, the Yisrael b'nei Israel is Enayim. The Jews lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians are running after them. They're pursuing them. The Yerumo, they got very afraid. The Yisrael b'nei Israel, and the Jewish people cried out to God. It says the Egyptians were pursuing them. It says like one person, with one heart, with one person. It says another opinion is Mitzrayim was. It doesn't say V'hinei HaMitzrim or the army of. It says Mitzrayim. It's like something called Mitzrayim was going after them. That's what it says. Another opinion is it was the angel, the guardian angel of the Egyptians, and its name of this guardian angel is called Mitzrayim. And this angel the angel of destruction to destroy the Jews, the power of Egypt, this was going to help the Egyptians. And the Jewish people, the Jewish people cried out to God. Where did they learn this thing of crying out to God? From Abraham. By Abraham, it says, that Abraham cried out, all three of them, they prayed. So they're also doing the same thing and praying. Another opinion says, V'paro hikriv, that he made close. It says hikriv et libam, lavam. I'm sorry, libam. He made close. He made close the Jewish hearts to God. In other words, Pharaoh was running after them as the Jewish people had no one to trust except for God. So it made them trust God totally. Another opinion, it says, Pharaoh hikriv, it says that he made a sacrifice. He made a sacrifice. He came to this idol called BalHaTurim. As he made a sacrifice over there, this will help. They figured this will help this angel, which is called Egypt. And therefore, the Jewish people said, Ozi v'zimrat yom, when they sang, means that not only did we defeat the Egyptians, we defeated also their angel as well. Also, it says here, Hine Mitzrayim Nosea. Nosea is singular. So this singular thing called Egypt, okay, you could say that Egyptians were like, that's what like Rashi says, like one person. The Egyptians were all, they had the same heart, the same, but he brought another opinion that it was the angel that was pursuing them, as well as the Egyptian people. Vayomer al Moshe, and the Jewish people said to Moses, are there no graves in Egypt? There's no burial, not enough burial place in Egypt. Are you taking us here to die in the desert? A little bit of cynicism over here. Who are you doing? Now, who was this that was doing the complaining? They say this was Datan and Aviram. The same Datan and Aviram that they were the ones who informed on Moses and told Pharaoh that he was the one that killed the Egyptians. Same Datan, they'll appear regularly. We'll see that eventually they find their demise with Korach. They were big instigators in Korach's war against Moses. We'll get to that later. In any case, all the people said to Moses, or Datan and Aviram, they were spokesmen for all the people, and they said, hey, Moses, why'd you take us out of there in the desert? There's no burial places in Egypt. Huh? He said, what are you doing? Why did you ever take us out of Egypt? Right? That's what he's saying. It says Rashi, is it because there's a lack of graveyards over there? But you can't find that maybe a Jewish graveyard. It's sometimes graves are pretty expensive. You know, here in Israel, they're really expensive. So maybe he's saying, maybe you wanted a cheap burial place. You took us out in Egypt in order to take us out from Egypt in the desert so we can get free burial. Who needs it, right? We should go back to Egypt. Here, the Sforno is saying that the claim of this Datan of Aviram is even more. They were 7 days out, and they were still eating this matzah, etc. It says, even if we don't make a war with Pharaoh, and let's say we just got out, right? And they didn't follow us after. Nevertheless, because if they don't make a war, nevertheless, we won't be able to get any food. Where are we going to get food from? We're going to die in the desert from hunger and from thirst, and we haven't got anything. Right? We're losing everything. The Egyptians will just come and take all the treasures back. All they have to do is just stand there. We're finished. Where are we going to go to get food? Right? We have this big river in front of us. All the Egyptians have to do is just, make camp over there, and We're done. What are we going to do? This is what we said. This is Datan Aviram. Again, they're speaking to Moses. Isn't this the thing that we told you in Egypt? And leave us alone and let us serve Egypt. It's better that we should be servants in Egypt than dead in the desert. Where did he say this? Remember when Moses came back in the end of the chapter called Shemot, the end of the first chapter of this book of Exodus. As he came back and told the Jews, okay, we're getting out, and he showed them the signs, and everything got worse. And then it says over there was Datan and Aviram, that they came to Moses and said, Moses, leave us alone. And now they're reminding him again, that's what we said before, right? And it said, that's right, Yireh Hashem Leinu, let God see and let us judge. Moses, you're trying to drive the people crazy. That's what they said back then. Isn't it better that we should that we should live and be slaves in Egypt than die over here in the desert? Right. Here he's saying, we should have said this in Egypt. In Egypt, we already should have said, leave us alone, Moses. We don't want to have anything more to do with you. Then we should have convinced the people that you should look what you've gotten us into now, right? This kettle of fish, we can't get out of it. We're stuck over here in the desert. It's going to kill us all in one. At least in Egypt, we were alive. Okay, there is a midrash that says that really the Jewish people broke up into four camps. The Lubavitcher Rebbe made a beautiful speech about this, but it says that the Jews broke up into four camps over here, according to their nature of the four different natures of people. And we can see this clearly today. One group said, let's go back to Egypt. That was this one we just said over here, right? Leave us alone. Let's just go back to Egypt. Let's just forget the whole thing. They're all going to kill us. Another group said, we're never going to go back to Egypt. Let's drown in the sea. We'll commit suicide. We'll drown ourselves in the sea, but we're never going to be slaves again, right? I don't agree with what they said, that it's better to live as slaves, right? Live on our knees instead of dying on our feet. We don't agree. We don't agree. We say it's better to die. We're never going to go back to Egypt again. A third group said, let's fight. Let's fight the Egyptians. Come on. We'll go down fighting. Okay, maybe they'll kill us, but maybe not. Maybe we'll take their weapons from them. And according to one opinion, they had weapons. So, true, we don't know how to fight, but we'll be fighting for our lives. Maybe we'll win. And the last group said, what, you guys don't believe in God? Let's pray. Let's pray. And so Moses answered with these words. He said, Vayomer Hashem Olam, Al Tiro, don't be afraid. Hityatzvu, stand still. Don't jump into the river. Don't commit suicide. See the miracle that God is going to do for you today. That you see the Egyptians today, Lotosifun, you're never going to see them again. No reason to go back to Egypt. No reason to go back to Egypt. Here he said, Hityatzvu, stand still. Don't jump into the river. Don't commit suicide. You got a good point. You shouldn't go back to Egypt. But there's no need. Don't jump. Hityatzvu, stand still. That you see the Egyptians, you're never going to see them again. So there's no reason to go back to Egypt. Right? They're not even going to be there. Hashem yelachem lachem, God is going to fight for you. So you don't have to make war. Va'atem tachrishun, and you be quiet. You don't have to pray. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, God said to Moshe, Ma titzak alai, what are you crying out to me? Daber ben Israel v'yiso, just travel, go straight. There's a river in front of you. There's a river, just don't worry about it, you just travel. And it says that the Jewish people did go, and that the water got up to their, first of all, there was Nachshon ben Nidav, he jumped into the river first. But all the rest of the Jews, another midrash says all the Jews jumped in after him, and the water got up to their noses, and suddenly it split. So that's what God was saying. Go straight into the river. Go straight into the river is in front here. Look, Ma titzak alai, Lamdu, we learned that Moses was standing and praying. Omer l'kodesh Baruch, God said, Now is not the time to pray. Pray shortly. Pray a prayer, 5 seconds. That's it. She Israel Natunim B'Tzora. The Jewish people are in, how do you say, in a very difficult situation. They said, don't pray. Here's another explanation. Why are you crying out to? Why are you crying out to me? Mati tzagalai, alai hadavar talui, velo alecha. So 1 second, excuse me. Right, he's saying the thing depends on me and not to you. God said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. You don't have to pray. You don't have to be asking all the time. I know what to do, God said. Like it says. But God, he said, you just be quiet. Enough praying. I'm going to take care of it. Al b'nei Israel, va'al po'alani tetzaveni. God says, don't worry. I know what to do. I will save the Jewish people on my own. Speak to the Jews and let them travel. All they have to do is one thing I'm asking them for. Don't fight. Don't go back. Don't jump into the sea. Just go and receive the Torah. The water is not going to stand in front of them. So here it seems that's pretty clear that those people who wanted to commit suicide and jump into the sea, for them the sea was real, and it could be that they would have drowned. But the people who's in their minds the sea was not real, so it wasn't real to get the Torah. Now this is not in any way imply that the world is totally subjective and everything is in your mind and whatever you think. That's not so. But in certain cases, it is. In certain cases, it certainly is. And certainly when there are obstructions, a lot of times those obstructions are just totally in our minds. So here is one of the cases. Don't worry about the water in front of them, because you have the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob there, and the faith that they had in me, that you'll go out. Don't worry, the sea is going to split. Here's the BalHaTurim says, Ramazlo ata atid litzok alai, you are going to cry to me 40 days. When is this 40 days? Remember when the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf. So Moses went up on Mount Sinai 3 times, right? He went up the first time, 40 days, got the Torah, but he came down to the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf, so he broke it. So he went up a second time and he cried out to God 40 days. He prayed for the Jewish people and asked for forgiveness. And also you're going to pray another time, the 5 words of the prayer for your sister Miriam. When Miriam, she said she spoke negatively about Moses, even though you have to really look closely to see what exactly was negative over there. But nevertheless, she did speak negative about Moses, and she became stricken with leprosy. And Moses prayed to God 5 words: El na, God please, Rafa na la, heal please her. Because sometimes you should pray a long time, 40 days when you're on Mount Sinai, and sometimes you have to pray only 5 words. There's a time to be short and there's a time to lengthen out. But now it's not the time to pray at all, says the BalHaTurim. Eladaber b'nei Israel, speak to the Jewish people and that they should travel. Says God, lift up your staff, stretch it out over the sea, and it will split. And the Jewish people will walk in the sea, Bayabasha, in the dry land. Here, Sforno says, lift up, there's going to be a strong eastern wind that's going to turn the sea into dry land. Now, of course, this makes no sense because how is it going to make the sea split? Not only that, it says in the Midrash that the sea did not just split into one, like in the movie. Remember, I don't know what it is. I remember when I was a kid, my parents took me to see the Cecil B. DeMille movie, which was pretty impressive, back then. But it was not accurate according to the Torah, because according to the Torah, it didn't really split that you could see the sky. There were 12 tunnels, and they went down the middle, they went down the sea and they took a turn, a left turn or right turn, I don't know, but they didn't cross over the sea. They got to the middle of the sea and they took, let's say for our purposes, a left turn in the middle of the sea. They went down a few miles and they came out on the same side that they went in. So let me just close the door here 1 minute. In any case, stick your hand out over the sea. The water will be split here and here. Just like it was in the time of Elijah the prophet. Well, that's another miracle that was done. There's also the story with Moses, also with water. Here, Moses is splitting the water, but there's also the story about how Moses struck the rock, which he wasn't supposed to do. That's also a thing with water. Here it was the merit of Moses, and over there it was the sin of Moses. But he did it, the whole thing he did with his staff, the whole entire staff. And because he thought that the staff could do anything, so that was his fault over there with the striking the rock. Says God, behold, I'm going to strengthen the heart of Egypt, and they will run after you. And I will make glory from Pharaoh and all of his soldiers and his chariots and his cavalry. Cavalry. It says the OrHaChaim, I'm going to strengthen the heart of the Egyptians. And what does it mean? It says that they shouldn't be afraid when they see that they see that the sea has divided, right? Usually if you have a big miracle, God made a big miracle for the Jews, go over. So you figure maybe they'll be a little bit afraid to go in because this is an unusual thing to go into a sea. I don't know how deep it is, but it must have been, several hundred feet deep at least. And all of a sudden, it says that the water stood up. All the water that he took, it stood up. The people could see it from far away, even hundreds of miles away. You could see the sea was standing up. But God strengthened their heart so that they wouldn't be afraid of God and his miracles. It would say it was a natural thing, just like it stayed, the water split. This is the time when water split. That's what the OrHaChaim says. And then when I make the waters go back in, this will be a big glory for me. They'll understand that it was not natural or low. The Egyptians will know that I am God, and I will get glory over the destruction of Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen. Which Egyptians are going to know? I mean, he killed everybody. So the people that are left in Egypt, they'll return to me. Because I don't really, God says very clearly, I don't like killing people. I don't like killing even the enemies of the Jews. I don't like punishing people, says God. It's not my thing. I don't like to do it. Right? A non-Jew, generally speaking, a non-Jew that doesn't accept the 7 Noahide commandments, he doesn't get punished. It just doesn't get a reward. And I don't know exactly how it works, the whole entire thing. But God does not enjoy punishing. I mean, sometimes he's got no choice over here. Okay, there went an angel of God before the camp of Israel, and also behind them. And there was a pillar of a cloud before them, and there was also a pillar behind them. So I read one place that says, what did he have to have a pillar? Usually the angel was going in front of them, but now when the Jewish people were going to go into the sea, so they had to have a special help, and not only that, it had to protect them from the Egyptians that were behind them. So it says, Rashi says, the angel and the pillar was before them, and an angel and a pillar was in front of them to separate from the Egyptians and the Jews, and also to protect them from the arrows and the catapult rocks that were of the Egyptians were throwing at them, or there was slingshots, whatever. Usually when it says the malach, it says the malach of God. the name God Yud Kei Vav Kei, but here it says Malach Elokim. Elokim means severity. It comes to teach you that the Jewish people, they were also being judged severely then. God was having his doubts if he should save them or if he should destroy them with the Egyptians. Because the Jewish people also had their doubts. Anyway, there was also a pillar, a cloud also, when it got dry, when it got dark, and this was it would come there. the pillar of fire would be in the nighttime, and the pillar of the fire would come down, and they would serve together for a little while. But it was no sev olech me'acharim lachshich the Mitzrayim. Usually, what would happen is when the nighttime came, or this cloud would go away. But now it didn't. The Egyptians were behind them, so God used the cloud to also darken the Egyptians as well. He says there was a pillar of fire, and it went behind them. It said the different opinions exactly what exactly happened. But suffice it to say that the Jewish people had an angel in front of them, an angel in back of them, a pillar, a cloud in front of them, a cloud in back of them, and that was protecting them. And it came between the camp of Egyptians and Jews, and there was a cloud and darkness, and there was light. The evening was lit up, so there was darkness for the Egyptians, and there was light for the Jews, and they couldn't come next to one another the whole entire night. It says there was darkness for the Egyptians, and there was the pillar. There was a pillar of fire in the nighttime that illuminated for the Jews, and it went in front of them like every single night. But they couldn't come one to the other, close one to the other. The OrHaChaim says maybe we can say like this, that the distance which was between the two camps, I mean, why didn't the Egyptians attack the Jews? That's all. It says because he filled it with darkness. And that's what it says, Vayavo Bain, that if not, why did it has to say that there was, we'll see in just a moment. It says that the Egyptians were already between them. What does it say? Vayavo Bain Machane Mitzrayim. It came between the camp of Egypt and the camp of the Israelis. In other words, it didn't cover over this darkness, did not cover over the Egyptians. It just stood between them, so the Egyptians couldn't see, or they couldn't see clearly the Jews. The Sforno says not only the pillar of darkness, but also the angel separated between the two of them. Okay, Moses stuck his hand over the sea. OrHaChaim, God brought this powerful eastern wind, Azah, powerful, the whole entire night, and it made the river, the sea, dry. And the water split. Rashi says a strong eastern wind, a wind from the east is the strongest of the winds, and this is a wind that God is going to punish the evil people with. Like it says, Baruch Kirim Afitzim. It says, with an eastern wind, I will spread them all out. It's a prophecy of Jeremiah. And also says in Hosea will come a Kadim, an eastern wind of God. In any case, another, it says in Yecheskel also, this is the hard spirit, and the water split. Which water? All the water in the world. It doesn't say that the sea split. The Yabaku Yam doesn't say the sea split. It says the water split. And Rashi says, what does it mean? All the water? All the water in the world split. Now, what do you have to do with something like that for? So the Lubavitcher Rebbe explains that what was going on over here, that if an Egyptian, for instance, was taking a bath, right in the nighttime, as he would sit in the bath, and the water would split in the bath. And let's say he was taking a bath and he was drinking a cup of coffee or something, the coffee cup would split. The water, the coffee, and the cup would split. Why did God do such a weird thing like that? So the Rebbe explains like this. Why? because and to give free will. The whole thing here was to prove to the Egyptians that God exists and that God is the king of the world. But a person has to have free will. So the Rebbe explained that the nature of a Jew is to see, at least that the Jewish nature of a Jew is to see miracles in nature. And the nature of a non-Jew is to see nature in miracles. And this is the best example. This is the best example the Rebbe brings. It says in the Talmud, in the Jerusalem Talmud, that a Jewish farmer, before he plants, he prays to God, and then he plants. What is it? The Palel Abori Olam V'Zoreya. He prays to God. There's millions and millions of farmers don't pray to God, and they succeed. But the Jew says, good, they succeed. That's not my business. They succeed because it's a big miracle, and I'm giving thanks to God for this miracle. And if I don't give thanks to God, I'll still get the miracle. But nevertheless, I think I owe it to God to give thanks. Right? So a Jew will give thanks, which is not the case of the Egyptians. Here we have an amazing miracle, the splitting of the sea. So one Egyptian says to the other, wow, did you hear what happened yesterday? God split the sea for the Jews. It was like right before the morning. He split the sea for the Jews. And the other one says, 1 minute. When did he split the sea? It was like, right just before it was dark outside, right before the morning. He says, it was not a miracle. No miracle. It was some sort of a natural magnetic thing that happened. Why do I say that? Because I was taking a bath exactly at that time, and the water in the bath split. So you see, it wasn't a miracle. It was a natural thing. All the water in the world split. So this was giving them a chance that they could opt out of the obvious miracle and take the choice. They had a choice. Either you could choose to say it's a miracle or not. The Jewish people went into the sea, and the water for them was a wall from the right and to the left. The Egyptians went after them, all the horses of Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen into the sea. What's going to happen afterwards, we'll find out tomorrow. But suffice it to say that the Jewish people were going inside of the sea. The Egyptians were hot on their trail, as that the Jewish people, even at this point, they still had to have great faith in the creator of the universe, because they were surrounded by miracles on all sides. And not only that, it says even more that the Jewish people, they went through you figure if the water dried up, it would be mud. I mean, that's only natural. It says no, the ground became dry. And the water stood as a pillar between them and there's also a midrash that says that not only that, but from the ground, there grew up trees. And on the trees, fruit trees. And on the trees grew fruit. How long were they in the sea? I mean, they were in the sea for, I don't know, an hour or something. It wasn't that long that they were in the sea, all the Jewish people. And from the tree grew up fruit. And the Jewish people plucked the fruit and they threw it to the birds, and the birds sang with the Jews afterwards. And the Rebbe said that this shows the whole point of the splitting of the sea was to bring out the potential. When it says that the water split, water also refers to all the spiritual levels. All the spirit split also. When the physical world splits and the spiritual world splits, what do you see? You see the Creator. It says it was a tremendous revelation of the Creator of the world. Everything concealing the Creator, both the physical and spiritual concealments, like all the heaven and the angels and things, it all split. But not only that, all of the potential of the world was brought out. So from the ground has the potential to grow the vegetation. So mineral became vegetable. From the ground grew trees. Vegetable has the power to feed the animals. So from the trees grew fruits, and the Jews threw it to the birds. The animal has the power to join with the human. So the birds sang together with the Jews. And the Jews human has the power to connect to the Creator. And that's why the Jews sang songs with God. And they all sang, and that was the whole idea of the splitting of the sea, to reveal all of the potential, the good potential, which is in every detail of the creation. That was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. As we're going to learn more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much. 8:15 tomorrow. Be with us, and we'll learn Torah Or, the Maimer of the Rebbe about going out of Egypt, and Devar Malchut, talking about what is the amazing lesson and power that we can get from Yud Shvat this coming couple days. What's going to be on Wednesday, tomorrow night. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Hope to see you tomorrow.